You know how much I love mushrooms, and look at how many I've got here, Richo. We're going to make an amazing mushroom soup.
It's a cornucopia of mushrooms.
A cornucopia. What a word.
I like that one.
Not one I've heard recently. Really? So if you can start dicing the onion for me, please. But I think the people at home, when you think of mushroom soup, you think creamy, delicious, and you think dairy. But I'm going to do a dairy-free version because you can still have a creamy mushroom soup with a couple of tricks.
I like that.
Without the dairy in it.
I'm liking it so far.
Good.
I just want to see how far you go with this.
So you keep chopping those for me, please. Okay. I'm going to use this beautiful cast iron pot. Very heavy, very durable, lasts a lifetime. I've got one of these at home, love it.
I love it. This is a fantastic looking pot.
It is, and it's big because we're going to make a huge batch of mushroom soup. If I'm cooking, you know my ethos is just go hard, cook enough to last the family so you hear no whinging for 2 days.
Cook it once and you've got it for months.
Correct. Well, if it lasts for months. So I've got extra virgin olive oil in my pan.
Oh, some nice heat in there.
I know. Beautiful sizzle, isn't it?
I love a good cast iron pot like that with enamel on the outside. Fantastic.
Yep, and it's got the kind of non-stick coating, so it's beautiful.
You're singing my song.
I'm singing your song. What is your song?
Oh, one of my favourite brands, Lamb of God. You don't like that, do you?
Interesting. No,
Yeah. Okay.
That's not my kind of music. Now, you're doing a beautiful job of these. So you've ripped up the oyster mushrooms.
Yes, I have.
I've actually learnt that from you. I've stopped cutting them since you've told me to no longer do that.
Just rip them up. There we go.
Rip them up, shred them up. So you keep going there and you can just slice them. I actually prefer my mushrooms quite thick in my mushroom soup. I like a lot of texture. Some people will actually blend or blitz their mushroom soup so it's like a puree. Alrighty, so let's start popping these in. Enoki's, pop them all in. So the beautiful thing about my mushroom soup is you can clearly use whatever type of mushroom you like. Can't you?
Yeah, edible mushrooms.
Edible mushrooms.
You've got to make sure if you are.
Correct. And can I just say, actually, on a very medical note here, that if you are foraging, because people do go foraging for mushrooms and looking for their own, but you need to be really careful. You need to be an expert before you do that. Because I've actually seen when I was working in the hospital, people with renal failure.
From eating the wrong sort of mushrooms.
Correct. It's very, very, very dangerous if you're not trained.
There are special mushroom tours that you can go on. Take your hand with a little basket and walk you through the forest, the deep, dark forest, and you get to pick out slippery jacks and pine mushrooms and all of those lovely little mushrooms. And they also point out the mushrooms that you cannot eat. The pretty toadstool ones that have the little dots on, they look great, but do not touch them.
Don't eat them. I've put a whole pile of thyme in here. Now, this is the really kind of young sprigs. I don't use those woody ones in my cooking, otherwise it's really quite fibrous. So I've just chopped it all up and popped it in. This is starting to smell so good, the thyme. I'm about to add some wine and thyme.
Wine.
It's like a little match made in heaven.
It's time for wine. I like that.
It's time for wine.
In go the mushrooms.
Wonderful.
Okay. Now, I'm amazed at how much this pot's taking. It's got heaps of volume to it, and we could stuff this thing full of mushrooms, I think, till the cows come home, and I reckon it'll take it all. It
will. It absolutely will. But as we know, these are going to reduce over time, and I'm going to cook this soup for about 40 minutes in this beautiful stock soon. And so it will reduce, but you need a big pot because I want to make a big quantity. Mushrooms are really good for you. Counts in your veggie intake. Can sit in the fridge for a week. A good dietary source of vitamin D.
Love it.
Vitamin D, very important for your bone health and your muscles, Richo.
Muscles like this?
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
correct.
Gotcha.
You can start putting the stock in. I know you're itching to do it. Go for it. And let's start adding some extra flavour here.
Extra flavour with pepper. I love pepper.
Yeah, pepper. I might even add a little bit of salt, although you're already getting some salt from the stock, but I'll add a pinch just for you.
We love a pinch of salt in there.
Here we go.
Now, it looks like there's not enough liquid, but we both know that the mushrooms will expel a lot of liquid as they cook and shrink down quite a bit. So this will come out really, really nice.
This will. So we're going to let this gently simmer down for about 30, 35 minutes. Let the fluid reduce, the flavours come out. Then we're going to add a couple more things.
I can't wait for this.
Perfect. Fantastic. Have a look at that.
Looks great.
It does look great, doesn't it? You can smell the thyme and the wine and the mushrooms.
I'm loving all the different mushrooms that you put in there. I reckon it gives it so much more flavour. You know, just instead of just having one mushroom, you've got them all.
I've got many mushrooms, and I've just popped some cornstarch in here because I want this to thicken up slightly.
Okay. That's another way of doing it. I would normally mix it with some water, but you've put it in straight away.
I just throw it straight in. That's the home cook in me. There's no time for mixing with water.
And if you didn't have corn flour, you just put plain flour in, mix it in?
Correct, and sometimes I do that. Yep, if I don't have it, I just use a wholemeal flour.
There we go.
But this is nutritional yeast. So often with a mushroom soup, you might add milk or cream. That's what I often use at home.
Okay.
But a lot of people can't tolerate that because of allergies. I don't know what it's like on its own. It's an interesting choice for you to do that.
It's got a Parmesan sort of flavour to it.
Yes.
And I've often seen people use it instead of Parmesan cheese.
Yes.
So it's going to give you that sort of creamy flavour to it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dairy substitute. So if you're anaphylactic to dairy, you can't have it, you're lactose intolerant, that's how you can add some creaminess. Pop it in, please, chef. Look at all that parsley. Here we go. You can cut some baguette up for us, please.
I can cut some baguette up. Chop
Doesn't
into
this
that like
look
that.
good? Yum, yum, yum. Now, here we go. Look at the mushrooms in that. Perfectly sliced by you.
Oh, look at that.
They don't look like this at home, let me tell you.
Now, I like how some people puree it up, and that's okay. But for me, a soup is perfect when it's like this. Lots of chunky mushrooms in there. You can taste every bit of it. And look at you. There's the chef in you.
I know.
You tell me you're a GP, but I reckon you should give that up and get into the cooking because you're doing so well with that.
That's actually a very big compliment.
Well,
I feel a bit touched. I have to go and have a cry.
Yeah, get over it quickly. There we go.
I'll cry into the soup so my tears are hidden, hey?
That is lovely. Packs a big punch, lots of mushroom flavour in there, and you've cooked enough for the whole week.
Yes.
If it's going to last a week, because I reckon it's so tasty, it'll be devoured in minutes.
Correct, and because I've made such a big quantity, this can sit in the fridge for ages. This pot really retains heat, so I can pop it on the table, make this ahead of time. The guests are still serving themselves and it's still warm.
It makes it a nice serving dish, doesn't it?
It does make a nice serving dish, but this one is, I think, a winner.
Do you like how I put that on there?
I do. Thanks, Chef.
It's not bad.